Hi guys, Vinny here and welcome to the workshop. I'm sure many of you are already familiar with my track speed concept time trial bike because I've been using it for the last 3 years for various kinds of events, time trials and a lot of training kilometers as well. And now that I will soon, or at least for the next season for sure, replace it with a new bike from the big S, then I would like to talk about it a little bit because this is the final version. I'm going to do one more time trial on it, and I have one more personal goal in terms of time trialing that I want to achieve on it. Hopefully, I will be able to do it next week. So this is basically it. It's objectively a super fast bike. We have measured it with Aero Coach, my position on it, the overall drag, and yeah, it's just one of the fastest bikes and now setups around, on par with the Cervelo P5. So these two pretty much still beating or posting the lowest drag values. So yeah, that's the track speed concept frame. Uh, Overall, how does this frame compare to others, or how is it to ride and live with for well, such a long time? Well, I can tell you, this is a size small. They don't. This is also a bit of a triathlon bike as a get-go, so the fit is not so aggressive. I previously had a medium. Now I have a small because well, the stack was just too high on the medium, even though the reach should have been fine. My medium bike was the OCLV 600, so the full carbon version, the expensive one, the premium one. Well, since 2018, that was no longer produced. This is the lower grade carbon version. It's a bit heavier. It has aluminum dropouts, but it's just as fast, and in time trialing, at least if you're doing decent speeds, the weight doesn't really matter. Now, this frame by this time is getting a bit long in the tooth. As you can see, it has no provisions for hiding the blip box or hiding the Di2 junction box, even though it's compatible with both in terms of wiring. So it's perhaps from this perspective, it's not the cleanest setup. The front end is widely adjustable, but it is quite complicated. So newer bikes have simpler, more refined designs. For example, the Cervelo or the new Shiv, etc. They have these slider posts here where you can just simply adjust the stack however you want. The integrated brakes, that's something that many time trial bikes get quite wrong. I think that's also the reason why it's a good moment to go for a disc brake bike, because now I'm pretty much used to having disc brake power from my road bike. But comparing to others that I've serviced and ridden, the brakes on the Speed Concept are decent. They're not super powerful, but they're easy to adjust. They don't, well, just wander off adjustment. They don't rub. They do nothing crazy. And if you set them up correctly once, then knock on wood or carbon, I never really had a problem with them. Same for the rear. Can be easily adjusted with just these bolts. One thing that at first when I got this bike appeared to me that could be a problem is, well, the tiny bearings in the bayonet style fork, and I have a spare set actually, but I never really got through them, even though I've ridden plenty of kilometers on this bike, more than 12,000 I think, or 11 at least. One thing that now in particular that SRAM dub has come out and the new 12-speed systems have come out, it's a particular downside of the track frames, and that's why I also would like to sell the Boon, and one of the reasons why I go away from this one is the BB90 bottom bracket standard, should I say. Now, as it is, it's not bad. If you maintain it correctly, if you install it correctly, I never had a problem with creaking or being loose or whatever. It works and it can be reliable if you take care of it, but it's the only bottom bracket system that's not compatible with the new dub axle, which gives you, comparing to GXP, a lot lighter crank and perhaps probably a stiffer one as well. So that's a bit of a downside I see. As I've mentioned, the dropouts on this particular frame are aluminum, but that's not really a problem because they give more durability when using these bolt-on style skewers. They can be quite damaging on carbon if you're not careful, but again, that's another problem that these brakes take away. Then you will just have two axles and it's done. As for the rest of the setup, in order to get to the UCI positions more easily, I have invested in a setback seat post. Now this is a part that comes from the older higher grade 9 series speed concept. With this one as standard you get the aluminum version with much less setback. It's just 15mm I think, so with some saddles it can be quite hard, or some saddle heights quite hard to get your desired setback with the nose 5 centimeters behind the bottom bracket. Many of you have also been asking about the saddle. Now this is from a small Colorado based manufacturer called Dash, and it's super light and extremely comfortable, at least for me. I've been using this ever since I started time trialing basically, and I have never changed it, and I will probably never will. So that's a very good one. Group set wise, on this bike I've used and tried 3 group sets. So I had the Race Di2 at the beginning, and that of course performs as you would expect. Then I had a mechanical 1x SRAM drivetrain for a long time. For first with a SRAM Force 1 rear mac, then with the Red 22 rear mac with oversized pulleys. Those also work fine, but then I wanted to go to the wind tunnel to have some aero testing, and in mechanical drivetrains on a time trial bike you're pretty much stuck into one position, at least with this one. You don't really have much freedom in adjusting your cockpit without re-cabling the bike. So I went for an ETAP group set that was on sale. Good for me there. I used the blips on all 4 spots, no clicks with these extensions because, well, they don't fit. Because of the hooked grips, which for me are more important. So that's the group set. Oversized pulley wheel still present. For the races, I also have UFO chains, UFO Durace chains, which are pretty much the fastest chains available. The crank, as I said, Quark Red D0 165mm super short, pushed by Speedplay aero pedals. Also many questions come regarding a chainring. So this is a pyramid cycle design 58 tooth aluminum chainring, quite heavy but super solid, super durable and very aero because it's well filled in. We really like that. Gives you those extra watt savings because of the large diameter. Going back to the frame a little bit and touching on the wheel. Now this is the newest Aerocoach EOX carbon disc wheel. It's light and it's super fast, pretty much tests as the fastest disc wheel around on the market. Very nice. It's a spoked wheel underneath, so the ride is not harsh either, like it can be with some disc wheels. This frame, in terms of ride quality, also isn't too bad actually. It's harder than an endurance road bike, of course, but it's nothing tragic. You can get going on rougher roads on it as well. And mentioning the disc, this is a lenticular disc, and it has quite a lot of curvature in it. Also the roval, which I've been using previously, and with this frame that is a problem, because as stock it comes with the dual-trap sensor compartment here. You would normally find it in this section of the frame, and there's this little bit protruding on this side, and it creates for very tight fits with a couple of disc wheels. So I just had that removed by a carbon service company. So it's just a regular frame now with no dual trap whatsoever. It's this design also shows, I think, the age of the frame, more than 5 years old as a design, or even 6, because we don't really use those things anymore with the magnets, etc. So not very useful. Some people also have pointed out that a non-round bottle, an aero bottle, will be much faster, and it's kind of an easy aerodynamic gain. To that I can only say, obviously, I know that. I use round bottles for training because it's more practical. As for aero bottles, there have been questions about that. Even the Elite Chrono bottle is quite slow. At 45 km per hour, it's a 6-watt penalty in my case. That's quite a lot, so I only use the bottle when I really have to, because yeah, it's just slow. Any kind of bottle on this frame is slow. Again, that probably shows the age of the design of this frame. It's not like the Pinarello, for example. It's not optimized for having a bottle on there. Then coming to the front end, this is a bike, one of the bike, probably the slimmest, slickest front ends. In particular with this watch shop extension set, it's just super clean, nothing really out in airflow, not a single piece of cable or whatever. And yeah, as I said, widely adjustable. The base bar, that's another complaint I have about this bike. The base bar is 42 centimeters wide, which isn't really all that necessary. I think on the road bike my tops are 35 centimeters wide, so going back on a time trial bike with 42 is a bit of like driving a truck. Not really my favorite. But yeah, on the new shift that will be narrower as well. Front wheel, MV78, very fast wheel, slightly optimized with the Silca valve covers there, set up tubeless of course with the Corsa speed tires, fastest time trial tires around. Yeah, that's pretty much all the build covered. So I think that's all for today. If you want to know more about my other bikes for other disciplines or the new time trial bike that I will be building, then don't forget to tune into the channel and subscribe. It's all for today. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.